Hello friends, I am here once more for the last time for the unboxing for the Dungeon of Doom Kickstarter, Wave 3. The first one, we had the first 3 scenarios and the 6th scenario, the Acid Bath, which gave us a lot of nice little pieces, smaller rooms, a couple of the things that, kind of showed off what the Dungeon of Doom was going to have with the lit torches and everything. The next one had all of the different tricks and traps and accessories and extra parts that I had gotten to kind of fill in the gaps from not getting the whole set, which would have set me back even, $1,000 more. So now we've got the last delivery, and I've already unboxed the big one so that you don't have to waste time seeing me do that. Not nearly as much this time, but what's there I think you'll find very interesting. So, first of all, these were supposed to be included in the actual set. For one reason or another, the packer in China did not put those in appropriately. When they got stateside, they found need to redress that. So, as a result, they're in separately. And darn if they aren't nearly impossible to get out. There we go. Just gotta find an angle. So we've got these cute statues that are crowned cobras, dire cobras by these big spikes coming out on the sides, but gold plastic. Very neat. There's a pair of those. You'll see why those come in soon enough. Now, we also have these elevation packs. This was one of the only things that I got painted because the cost for painted was almost identical to the unpainted cost, if I remember right. So it gives you a chance to see the people who shelled out all the money for the painted stuff they got. So these are marble riser blocks, 2x2. They're hollow, cuts down on the weight. And their marbling technique is impressive. It's, not formulaic. It looks very nice. The white brushed over the darker gray. And we have a bunch of those. We have a little bit of a storm going on around, so maybe that'll add some nice dramatic tension. And I'm almost sacrificed the floor gods already. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It looks like 8 of these 2x2 blocks. And then a pair of 2x1 blocks. So this is going to be distracting. And then a pair of the stairs. And these are all done according to the dry brush technique that they use and have videos for, showing the quality of the product as it's painted. So it's not terribly difficult to replicate those results. It looks very nice. Plus the marbling texture was something that I thought would be a bit more complicated to try to replicate, so it was nice to have some that'll serve as an accent piece, even if it's a while before I get to the painting of all of these pieces. Next, talking about elevation and such, I'm not sure why they held these back on launch, but these are the bridge pieces. These are large spans, broken up in 1-inch tiles, so that you can put together a span that will link a couple of pieces for elevation. And they also have a piece to bridge in between the gap. And these, of course, you can use for elevation Shows metal pieces here, but... And there are also a pair of these metal pegs, which can be used. Those are dungeon bridge based pins. My lovely assistant pointed out to my attention. Very nice of her. So there are these metal plates in the end and the pin slot, so that if I go with these two pieces together, I can link them with that pin to hold them in place. Or I can put them in on either side of the span so that I can make a big bridge. And again, with the other elevation pieces that I have, I can do something with this. So that'll be fun. Bridges are always nice because they're a corridor that you take away the walls, but you don't cut out any of the danger. There's always the fear something's going to come up at you or around at you or some such. Bridges are stressful positions for adventurers to be in. Now we come to dessert. This is the Jade Shrine of Sysuul, which we will see together. This got me very excited when I saw it for the Kickstarter. One of the things that sold it for me. And it is a big box, which is, again, full of smaller boxes. So, I don't know why I didn't think that it was going to be filled with the smaller boxes, but we'll have a little bit more unboxing than I thought. Size box for all kinds of purposes. Alright, so first of all, we will look at more of the temple floor blocks. And these, again, were something that were different for the Jade Shrine. We have this large portal slash kind of a focal point, exclamation point. It's got the two little diadems up in the top, and it's all made from this jade green translucent plastic. We have a variety of these snake-themed 4x4 tiles. We have 4 of those. With the intertwined snakes. Again, kind of the snakes almost forming a Celtic pattern. At the bottom of them, they have pillar posts for those riser pillars that we discovered in the second unboxing video. And then we have, okay, we saw these. These are what they look like unpainted. So with those, and part of the reason why I don't get painted, well, obviously there's a cost-saving feature. But also, in addition to the cost-saving feature, if I want to paint these a different color, I'm going to have to ruin somebody's excellent work with one of these if I want this to be a different color. If I get ambitious enough to individually paint things for a particular scene or setting, I'm going to have to, the jade, thank you. I'm going to have to, it's easier to do from basic, not wasting somebody's effort. Alright, so we have the floor platform, a raised dais. It's got, again, the snake entwined theme, the braided ring, which we've seen. All in all, this is a wonderful piece that really begs to be painted. I would probably go with the gold around the braiding like they did with theirs. It has a couple of these accent pillars that I can put the gargoyles that we saw earlier. This one is not risered, however. But as you look around it, this is kind of a 3D structure. They have The diadems, except for the back. They have 2 sockets, but they didn't put any diadems in there. But the etchings around the side, everything serves as an exciting accent for the eyes to go automatically to when it's time for your party to go into the encounter that you're going to stage on something like that. Also in this particular box are a lot of floor tiles. These are all snaky floor tiles in the 2x2. Thickness is standard of the other 2x2 tiles. So we've got 5 there. And let's just say there's a lot more than 5. So I've got a lot of the snake-themed tiles here to form what is a large room. So those will all go together. Let's see. Let's get to the walls. The walls are something I was looking for. Again, they had the idea of accenting with jade, which in certain cultures has a lot of mystic significance. At the very least, it's a nice visual difference from the rest of the dungeon. So in this box, we have these really, really cool freestanding sculptural displays, which form their own walls, but again, you've got the whole snake thing going on, and there's 4 of those, which look really good. You know, the detail has been down top, sides. There's nothing that isn't etched. Stefan Pokorny and company are master sculptors. They really do a fine job. There's no detail left undone. So these are very, very nice. But as cool as those are, and they're cool, then we got a whole bag full of the wall pieces, which are done in with the jade, the jewels, the 3-headed snake icon on the side, you know, imprinted into the jade alcove, and then the floor still keeps the snake theme. And there is a whole bag full of these. Enough to do the walls for that rather large room that we had the pieces to. So all of them have the jewels. The backside even has an imprint and a jewel if you want to, as I have sometimes done, spin the whole thing around so that you're using the flat wall to border, you know, the rest of what you're doing. But again, looks fantastic. It certainly meets the expectations that I had. I know that it's just a kind of translucent plastic, but honestly, when you couple it with all the other dungeon craft of setting up the dungeon, you get your players invested in their characters and imagining their characters in a similar situation. Trust me, it'll do the job nicely. So the next one, hey, we got more pieces of jade. Uh-oh, be warned. The House Panther has arrived. Alright. So, jade braziers. Got the jewels. Got the imprint along the sides. Snake platform picture on the bottom. And it works right out of the package. And how many of these do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The thing that's great about snakes is that they exist in almost every world. They're natural survivors, but there's an icky feeling about them. They don't have limbs. They are predators who have rather distressing methods of killing their prey and devouring them. So it doesn't take a lot of imagination for snakes to be rather fearsome for the imagination, which has always made them ideal for such a thing. with this, it ramps up the number of LEDs that I have access to by quite a bit. And the snake motif is something that I can use again and again. There's an entire race, the Yuan-Ti, that are based on snakes, that this is perfect for setting up as a Yuan-Ti temple. But even beyond them, there's plenty of examples of snakes that can be used effectively in a variety of settings, from Indiana Jones to to any of your D&D. Okay, we have a double wide 2-inch across stairs. These are will work well with the elevation posts to create risers, and there's 4 of those in this package. The entire temple, when set up together, is a large room that just looks imposing because there's numerous visual features. And I'll talking so you're not bored while I'm ripping open plastic. We have a couple more of the snake LED lamps, which means in this package there are also these snake LED floor pieces. And again, we also have more of the jade pillars. Be set with the jewels. We have 4 of those from the first shipment that we got, but these, again, more accent pieces to make this temple really stand out and pop. So 2 of those. Very nice. And then finally in this box we have more of the risers, but one is a 2 wide set of stairs, and the other 2 are end cap pieces to set on either side so that it frames out the stairs rather than just leaving it a sharp deadfall on either side. So, lots and lots and lots of fun things there. Okay, next. A couple more boxes before we reach the end of this ride, so. As with building most rooms, not everything is flashy. Sometimes you have pieces that are just there to support the rest. The shrine setup that they had a short little waiting area of sorts in front, so there are a few pieces. There's a classic dungeon wall, or a few. Okay, there's several of those. I need to take the time to unshroud all of those. There is. Bags are a little clingy. There's a 2x1 elevation block. A couple of those. 3 of those. 4 of those. A couple of stairs that help with the elevation, providing transition points. There were a total of, looks like 5 of the classic dungeon walls, and I checked. They're not magnets. That doesn't look like this one featured magnet pieces. And one of the many Kickstarter bonus things that they came up with is they kept adding and adding and adding, and for poor susceptible fools like me, making it something I really, really wanted. At the end of the Kickstarter campaign, the last bonus thing they had was a miniature for Sassoon's avatar itself, with a diamond necklace and the snaky bits and flame coming out of their hands with the translucent plastic, and a scimitar in the other hand, which pretty good size scimitar. All in all, nasty customer. You're talking about all the nastiness of snakes all into one figure? Well, even the eyes themselves are diadems, so this could very easily be an animated statue that Sewell uses to punish his enemies. So, yes. And then we'll get on to more pieces. Alright. I hope you're not tired of the jade pieces yet, because there's some more coming. We have an entire accent wall / shrine for Sysuul. It kind of makes the detail a little harder to make out, because, you know, this is all, again, carved out. Then they made the mold. Even the backside of it, kind of Indian accents, I would say. Something that you could realistically find in some of the old shrines and things that you might find in, you know, India and the Far East. Large eyes, sculpted, flame theme going on, snakes. Yep, this is definitely definitely eye-catching. So there's, that was cool. You know, having one of those is a nice accent. But 2. There's another one. And because we like those so much, 3. So they frame out the walls. Pretty hard to miss those. Then we move on. Okay, we have tiles with snakes. The 2x2 with snaky critters. I think these can fit into the bottom of the pits with the magnetic tops. You know, that you use the magnetic Gulf Tea of Doom to pick up the lid and boom, snakes. That would be enough to set some of my players off with the heebie-jeebies. We have several of the golden snake idols that we had earlier. We also have some of the unpainted golden snake models. I'll take one out for your perusal. They're taped shut. There's much chance that these were going to come out anyhow, but yeah, for the sake of this, imagine the gold one, but just in Dwarvenite brownish gray. And we have 3 of those. So those are fun. And in this bag we also have, this is what I deal with. The bane of making these videos seem smooth. This is a 1-foot deep block, half wall. Good for rounding out tricky rooms that the walls just don't seem to line up with the floor tiles perfectly. That can happen, and frequently does. So having things like that gives you more flexibility with what you can do with the rooms. Also, we have decoration points with those metal posts. So, with these walls, there are posts in the ceiling. I believe these are supposed to go in. Like so. And of course you can paint these to the color you're interested in. I'll probably do these in gold at some point. But yeah, so these can fit into the tops when they want to. Or you could use them for accenting any of these that have the small posts. The throne that we had a little bit earlier, or heck, you could even use them on, possibly on the edges of this bridge. It looks like the post hole is about the same size. So, or they're kind of angled, which doesn't make them ideal for putting on flush with something like the portal, but cool to have. They're definitely supposed to ring around the top of those figures. And we have 1, 2. These are different. So there were 5 or 6 of those. And we also have more hooded cobras. These also have the metal post, so they are to go in as well. And we've got a handful of 4 of those and another magnetic glyph. So yep. Sea snake set. I'm guessing that the flames are left hand and right hand style, because otherwise they don't fit very well in those rings. And I've seen them in action; they look really good. So. Okay, and here we have 4 of these. Again, another neat accent piece. The flame motif again with the jewel in it. These would look brilliant on either end of the throne, or the portal. Not that you needed any more to communicate that point, but game on. So, again, quality stuff, quality stuff. And we come to the final box. So, it's been a fun ride. These are the last of the accents. The little tricks and things that can throw at unsuspecting players. It doesn't help that one of my players is in the room right now and I don't want her to see all the secrets. She'll be fine. Alright, we have a large freestanding. This one does not have, it has its own base. Large freestanding glowing brazier. Again, that evil green light. There's not going to be any subtlety in this shrine at all. It's all evil all the time. And we have another one of the pieces I love so dearly, the double doors. Double doors in a dungeon always spell bad things on the other side. Or something dramatic, at least. And in this case, it delivers with the drama. No doubt about it. This one's kind of fun. We have a raised dais with trapdoors. Double trapdoor. And if I take these 2 bits, yes, I take these doors and I put them in their homes, and you can imagine the snaky bit on the bottom. So yeah, solid floor, great place to fight the enemies. But there's a release here somewhere. I just have to find out how it's triggered. There's supposed to be a catch of some sort. Cunning little false... the cunning little false step. And then, boop, you deliver your players into the abyss. Or snake pit, or whatever. The snake pit obviously would fit. The false step on the side, I didn't even see it at first glance, so it's well concealed. And that just is a simple spring mechanism that connects with the false ledge below and lets the doors fall, especially if there's any weight that's put upon them. They'll just pop right open. And then you just put them back in place, and they're ready to trick your players all over again. So, yay! I love things like that. The opportunity to have pit traps that show visibly, rather than just drawing a square under where your player is as they fall to a painful fate. Yeah, it's a nice little extra. We also have 4 more of these demi-pillars. They're quarter pillars with the snake motif. Am I holding it upside down? I probably am. But yes, so I put the 4 together and you make one solid snaky pillar, but they're excellent in corners of rooms, again, to form accents for those walls. And snakes, really, in this room, was it going to be anything else other than snakes? For the double doors, we have, well, the doors. We have the, I believe this is the bronze door, obviously not painted, but it's got, you know, very striking etching on it. And there's, of course, a pair of those. There's also a pair of the stout wooden doors with the hinges. And there's the pair of those. Also, we have an altar, useful for a temple. Again, featuring the eye, the snake, geometric patterns that we've been seeing repeated on all of these pieces, tying the theme together. And guaranteed to raise the ire of anybody playing a cleric of the opposing faith. Also, they are wonderful things to let your players know that, ooh, stuff just got real when they walk into a strange room. We have also 2x2 blocks with pillars inset into them. Again, we're going with the snaky pillars here. These help with elevation. They also provide a useful, you know, reference point for pillars in the room. So I got a pair of those, and the snakes wrapped around with their heads serving as the balance at the top of the pillar is very cool. Very cool. And we have 2 more, so bringing our total up to 4. Here we have these large snaky door. This is a standard size door. The inset, though, has the rooms and another inset gem. And there's a pair of those. So once again, we have a lot of really cool doors that this set has brought us. Enough to enable us to mix and match, to draw drama, to, you know, going from transitioning from one room to another. With the snakes that we had with the light lamps, again, we have the 2x2 blocks with the light posts. We saw these before, but I just love all these LED effects, so got to show you again. And pink. Have not had one that did not work yet. They've all been excellent. The flicker feature is nice. And again, helping me to bring the added element of light balances into my dungeons. So, makes me a happy DM. Here's where the magnetic glyph, we have the alcove, the little, the back of which is magnetic. So this magnetic glyph affixes right on, as do any of the magnetic traps that I have. Jets of flame, scything blades, crossbows. Awesome. And of course, glyphs. My players hate hate glyphs because they kind of cheat. They're like traps, but it takes a wizard or a really good thief to find them and deal with them, or a collaboration of the two, honestly. And then finally, the last part. Little bit of a whimper we're going out on, but quite honestly, these are just as useful in some cases to make your rooms work, to fit the floor plans. We have 4 4x1 floor tiles, so there's 4 of those, and 4 1x1 tiles. So that is the Dungeon of Doom Kickstarter that I backed on Kickstarter a year ago. Okay, overall, obviously the quality is excellent. Everything that they promised, the magnetic pieces, the LED, everything they delivered what they promised they would do. Obviously, I've got a lot of work ahead of me with painting. There's a lot of things I want to do, but I want to paint for the right theme, the right thing that I'm going to be working up against. For example, in my current mega dungeon, I'm going to need some of those to be themed in with different materials that are in the dungeon, or different elements that they will find. So not all of them are going to be a uniform block color that I could just mass produce. I got some work to do, but so that's cool. All of the little details and effect pieces and everything that went into them with painstaking care delivered. Not a lot of, you know, the miniatures and stuff that they've packed into some other games, but I don't need that. I've got plenty of other miniatures, so there wasn't anything wasted there. The Jade, very cool, wonderful accents. I'm going to have a lot of fun using those. And the biggest benefit, or those who stand to make the biggest benefit, are of course my players. All the people who are going to see their players, characters, go into these dungeons and not have to imagine or project from something I draw out on my battle mat, but will be able to take their figures and go into these dungeons. We'll ratchet up, you know, what I can do and fire up their imagination so that we can have tactical combat in a very interesting scenario as I develop it. So, very happy for that. As I always do with these unboxings, was it worth it? It was expensive. It was very expensive. It was money that I had to spend because I sold stuff I didn't need anymore, but would I do it again? I would, again, only if I was buying out of my plenty. I would not spend out of my need for this, simply because I've always been able to make do with a battle mat and some markers. This is a luxury, one that I am privileged to be able to afford, and for those of you out there who clearly had the money to support them with buying full sets or full painted sets, because they sold an awful lot of those, you know, you're getting fantastic quality. There's nothing else in the market that's this. There's some good stuff out there, and I'll still stand by what I said. Once 3D printing comes along and becomes more affordable and they get easier and more intuitive to use, you know, companies like Dwarven Forge are really going to have to work hard to be able to keep their clientele and everything. They will really be relegating themselves. But for right now, this is the best of the best, and I will be able to give this to my players over and over and over again. The challenge is for me to use it and to get my money out of it, which I look forward to that kind of a challenge. So I hope you've enjoyed this, being here with me and going through this particular Kickstarter. Dwarven Forge, you knocked it out of the park. Mr. Picorni and all of you others, you did great. I'm very happy, and I can't wait to start making my world become just a little bit more real with this stuff. So, thank you once more. I am Rob here in my basement lair, signing off from the Dwarven Forge's Dungeon of Doom Kickstarter. Thank you for joining me, and you have many successful and somewhat dangerous ventures. Sewell and I say, thanks for joining us. Farewell.